manufacturers to use and to keep them out of oceans and waterways. But let's face it, recycling's confusing. We have a solution, and it's working.
The standardized labels help people recycle more, and they help people recycle right. Let's recycle across America, and let's recycle right.
To learn more about this solution and how to recycle right to protect our oceans and waterways, visit letsrecycleright.org.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. Learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer. Visit nbcf.org.
Your exclusive home for Auburn Tiger football. Powered by Pepsi. WGS Excellent Haven, Panama City. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
There's no need to fear.
The Underdogs are here. The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
What time is it?
Live from the Slim Chicken Studio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome into a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. The temperature is dropping. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Old School and Boston Tim. Did you guys get a chance to get outside last night about 9:29, 9:33 and listen for the sonic boom or watch the bright sky?
I did.
Did you? Did you see? Because I had an alarm set for 9:29, and I'm sitting there looking towards Pensacola. I didn't see nothing.
I didn't
missed
hear
it. I didn't see anything.
I didn't hear anything, and I didn't see anything except for I watched it on my device.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I had it pulled
I
up there.
saw the parachutes open, and down they came and splashed down, and then I shut it off and went back inside.
Well, if you were in Pensacola, you probably had a great
sure you got a good
view
view
of it. So
Right.
give us a holler or a text, 850. Yeah, shoot me a picture through text, 850-215-6290, or give us a call and let us know what you saw. I was watching a feed just like you, a Facebook Live feed, and I saw it from that angle, but I was on my porch. I thought I had a great vantage point. There was a star. I thought I saw it start to move a little bit. And it stayed right there. So I was like, obviously, I'm not looking at the right thing here. So anyways, pretty cool that they made it back and everybody was safe.
Everybody's safe.
And, we're back in the ventures of space. So really cool stuff there. Welcome into the Slim Chicken Studio. Thank you for listening today. Give us a call or text on the Rib Crib hotline, 850-215-6290. We're on the radio 104.3. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch, and with our TV partner in the Pensacola area, blabtv.com. Make sure to like and share the Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and download the new app and register. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You can win a ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt just by clicking. We got trivia today brought to you by Merchant Management Group. If you're a business owner, you gotta listen up. How much did you pay in credit card processing fees this last season? If you want to eliminate those fees, then call our friends over at Merchant Management Group, 850-747-0664. They're located in downtown Panama City, and they will get you taken care of. If you own a restaurant and you would like to get on one of our list here, we've got 5 restaurants, and they give away a $25 digital gift card to the trivia winner each day. Give Merchant Management Group a call, 850-747-0664. The trivia question for today is, the Louisville Cardinal Stadium used to be Papa John's Cardinal Stadium. What feature of Cardinal Stadium is unlike any other university operated stadium? What feature of Cardinal Stadium is unlike any other university operated stadium? Old School, when they gave me the choices, I forget what all 4 of the choices were, and you don't have a choice, listeners. You guys got to come in hot with the answer. But one of them was serving alcohol, and that was the one that I clicked on because this was a little bit of an older quiz. So that wasn't the answer, though. So that is not the answer that we're looking for, serving alcohol. But a lot more schools, especially in the Southeastern Conference, are doing a lot more of that. We got Big Max already. Max DeLyden is in the studio with us. He'll be with us in the next 2 segments, but we'll go ahead and talk about his team a little bit here. Last night, that Steelers-Bears game, another great Monday Night Football game. I was not expecting this type of a game, especially the chance that the Bears could have almost won that game last night. And if you look at the referee, maybe should have won the game last night, but it was a little bit of an ugly game, but a lot of thrills in the late end of the game. First, before we get into the penalties, the taunting penalties, Justin Fields, he had a night and a losing effort last night. No doubt about it. We're starting to hear team or media outlets say, oh, they found their quarterback of the future. I don't want to get you guys' answer right now. Is he the quarterback, the franchise quarterback of the future? Because we're going to save that for 445. We'll let Max answer it in the next segment. But what did you take away from Justin Fields' night last night?
What I saw was a quarterback who's extraordinarily physically talented, who's still trying to figure out how to play a controlled game. And, he started out at the beginning of the game trying to run the plays as they were intended to be. But when he's at his best is when he's out there freelancing, using his athletic ability to get away and then freelancing and making plays. And that's the part for him that's going to be challenging, is to learn to play in a controlled environment instead of just freelancing and using his own natural abilities to run around and create plays and make throws down the field off of a broken type play rather than a scripted play.
Boston Tim, what caught your eye about Justin Fields last night?
Absolutely, that he had composure,
Oh, yeah.
and it's important to have that, because you're going to have to make decisions there that you see other guys, like we were talking about yesterday, who are refusing to make the decision at the last minute on whether you tuck it or throw the ball away, or you just make the poor decision to try to throw it into double coverage or something like that. And he really didn't make any poor decisions like that. I was definitely excited to see when he did take off. And like you said, when they actually designed plays for him to roll out, even when he rolled opposite, he had a great throw across the middle.
Yeah, we saw that in his pro day.
Right.
He has the ability to swivel his hips, turn his shoulders, and deliver the ball. It's just, it's the inside the pocket area that I think he's struggling with.
Right. And the good thing is that he did have composure in there.
Yeah, but it wasn't like he was panicking.
No.
It's just that's a part of the game that he still has to develop and learn, is how to sit in the pocket, learn how to move in the pocket without just taking loose, tucking it and running.
Right.
And I think that will come with time.
Absolutely. And, he also was sacked 3 times and rushed 8 times on top of that.
Yeah.
So having 11 plays in itself where you're being hit or attacked, it's tough, So to be able to still have the composure and put up 291 yards, 1-1, I thought was relatively impressive. He had 8 rushes for 45 yards, over 5 yards carries good, and he put them in a position after that late field goal by Pittsburgh to still have an opportunity. So
I think they were just so excited to be in the lead right there. I wish they would have thought about that a little bit more instead of attacking for the end zone, try to take a little bit more time off the clock. I know Big Ben's old, but he showed last night he can still get it done when his team needs him the most.
Well, the Bears, they helped them.
The referees helped him a whole lot, son.
But you're a defensive lineman, right? And all you got to do is look at the ball. You're just trying to line up. They can't line up on sides.
He jumped off
2 plays in a row.
It was so bad that they had to drop him into coverage.
They even have this rule for ends and wide receivers where you can look at the referee and be like, "Hey, am I on the line?"
Yeah, no, right? Just a quick little point.
All you got to do is check.
I couldn't believe it. They get a first down. The very next play, he's on the other end, and the same exact thing. And you could see Nagy over there yelling, "Back up!"
I think they ended up having. I think both of those two were on Hakeem Nicks, if I'm not mistaken. But they had a third one in a row of encroachment or offsides, neutral zone infractions.
And I know that they're trying to get to the quarterback. But you just if you're going to line, you can't line up off sides. It just made that little drive that the Steelers made so easy. I mean, Ben didn't have to really do a whole lot. He had to make a couple of throws, and that was it.
Well, let's talk about the player of the game for the Steelers last night, referee Tony Current. 12 penalties called, 120 yards going against the Bears, 6 missed calls. I can't identify all 6 of those. 1 awful taunting call, and 10 points gifted to the Steelers. This is a meme off of Facebook that I found. But let's go to that taunting call last night where you had Cassius Marsh kind of talking a little bit to the punter. Starts to trot off the field. Referee starts to play a little hockey with him, hits him with the hip check, and next thing you know, the flag's flying. What can we do? I mean, this was one of the most egregious taunting calls that I've seen to this point in the season. And you know, Mike Tomlin comes out and he's like, hey, we're trying to clean the game up. But if they were on the opposite side of this, I wonder what his takes would have been. What did you guys, how do you guys feel about that taunting call last night? And taunting calls in general in the NFL, because since it's kind of going haywire as of this year, old school.
I understand the idea of trying to, make sure that the game is under control and that, tempers flare when people are taunted. But it just seems like the pendulum has swung so far the other way that now people are getting called for little or nothing for a taunting penalty. I still can't figure out what in the world he was thinking as far as the hip check. I mean, it's not like the player was headed directly towards him. He had to literally back up a little bit to hit him. I'm interested in getting some kind of explanation from the referee as to what he was thinking or what.
I don't know. It would be really interesting to know maybe more of what Marsh said in that situation, and maybe that would help clear things up a little bit. But what could you say from that far away that it would be considered taunting? I mean, I get being up in somebody's face, but if you're talking 10, 20 yards in between you, it's a game of football, man. And then for the referee to do what he did, and I mean, when their paths crossed, maybe you could, without the benefit of replay, maybe you could say, okay, well, they just kind of crossed paths. But no, you could tell he gave him a little booty bump there. And next thing you know,
the referees are being put in a tough position,
Yeah.
It's a hard spot where they're being forced by the people above them to crack down on taunting no matter what. And so then the guys feel like they can also then get into the referee's face afterwards. And I applaud them for sticking up for themselves and for being strong. And I applaud them for throwing the flag no matter what. If they think it's taunting, that's what they have to do. And whether or not it was towards the player, the fact of the matter is he was pointed towards the bench also. And even if it's 20 or 25 yards away, if you're still saying something towards the bench, you're trying to incite something, and that's taunting. So I have the refs back on this one.
I have the refs back for calling the taunting. I don't have a problem with him calling the taunting if the guy was actually saying something. I do have an issue with the hip check, if you want to call it that. I mean,
listen, man, you got to have some space. Give me my space.
Well,
he's on a field with 22 men, all of them probably on some type of a substance, not necessarily illegal. If you get in my private space and I'm out there on the field wearing the stripes and the whistle, I might hip check you too. Back off, son. Give me some space.
But he didn't have to back up to get. If anybody got in anybody's space, the referee got in the player's space.
Good job.
I mean, I don't know. It's
protect that $300,000 a year you're making.
It's a pretty good job. Nice job.
Marsh was on the practice squad for the Steelers last year. So, I don't know. Greeny said something today about instead of calling a penalty on the field, just fine them or something. Maybe you would have a better chance at actually stopping this. But for me, if they're not in each other's face, if it's not taking time away from the game, I don't care. In fact, I welcome it. There's a point where it's too much, too much taunting, but then there's also these guys are excited to be playing football, and they've been playing like that for their whole career. Well, especially once you get up to high school ball, you're down 40 points, you deflect a pass, hey, you celebrate.
Hey, I love taunting. I grew up with it myself.
Right.
I taunt my kids in the house. I don't care. That's what you got to do.
Boston
you got to toughen them up, man.
Boston 10.
But
Thankful for taunting.
I make the rules in my house.
Right.
And they're just abiding by the rules that they're told to stick with.
I would just like to understand,
hip check or not,
what the difference between taunting and talking smack. I don't understand the difference. What's the difference between, me turning, which I would never do, but me turning to Tim and say, "You can't cover me.
I don't want any trouble,
You can't cover me. You don't want anything. You don't want me. You don't want anything to do with."
And
I don't know what the difference between that and taunting is.
And I think it should be a demonstrative up in someone's face. You know what I mean? That type of deal where and it's going on for just longer than what it should be. But also the biggest problem that I have with this, especially in this age of sports gambling and it's becoming illegal in more and more states, is it's giving the referees more power than they already have over a game because it's up to them. Anything that's up to the referee's discretion could, in the end result, be a bad thing because it's not being handled necessarily on the field. All right.
Understandable.
All right, we're going to take a short break. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We had some big names in big games on Monday. Steph Curry, 11th in NBA history with 10 career 50-point games. Big Ben, 4th since 1970 with 50 career game-winning drives with Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady, and Alex Ovechkin tying Brett Hull for 4th on the all-time goal list with 741. We're going to be right back with your Minute with Max.
My weather forecast overnight, scattered clouds, 52 to 58 for the low, light northeast winds. Wednesday should be partly sunny in the mid to upper 70s, an east wind 5 to 10. A weather front coming in Thursday and Friday with some clouds and showers. Could be a thunderstorm Friday. The highs gently in the mid to upper 70s Thursday and Friday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by All About Garage Doors, your garage door repair specialist. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Any Given Sunday isn't just a movie where you get to see Al Pacino give a locker room speech. It's also a time-tested cliche that describes how unpredictable NFL football can be. And yesterday was a great reminder of that. Any Given Sunday, the Broncos trade away Von Miller. They go to Dallas. It was supposed to be easy, right?
The Dan Patrick Show, weekdays 9 to 11 on ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Don't go through the fall months with joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. Regenerative solutions are here, bringing lasting relief from joint pain with no downtime, no surgery, no steroids. QC Kinetics use natural biological therapies that restore, repair, damaged tissues in your knees, shoulders, hip, and back. Patients are raving about the results. You don't have to live with chronic pain. And don't think surgery is your only option. Call QC Kinetics now. Learn about these exciting natural alternatives. Hey, you've heard football legend Emmitt Smith talk about QC. It's time to see what it's all about. Fall is a time to enjoy life to the fullest. Act now. Restorative therapies are available here. And in the office, consultation is free. Call QC Kinetics, 850-270-3939. Non-surgical joint pain relief. 850-270-3939.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been in the Panama City area since 1989. They've been here longer than anyone else. The reasons? High quality, reasonable prices, and tremendous service. Stop by and see owner Jason Mulder and let him and his staff help you pick out the perfect building for your home or business. Just down from Harts Marine on North Highway 231. Online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. Member of the BBB. Bestway Portable Buildings. The best in portable, period.
From Tyndall Air Force Base to the Hathaway Bridge, we are live and local. It's the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Slim Chicken Studio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back in to the Slim Chicken Studio. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes. We've got Boston Tim, Old School in the building, and now it's time for your minute with Max. Max, what's going on, my friend? Tell us what the latest is with Rib Crib and the other PRG restaurants.
Well, what's not going on at Rib Crib?
Amen.
Tonight we've got Bay High Band, a spirit night over there, so a lot of the proceeds will go back to the band and support your local high school.
Awesome.
Veterans Day on Thursday. All veterans eat free. 2-meat combo, one side and a drink, and it's also a discount for active military as well. Being near the base, too, we really appreciate the military and everything you guys do, so please come out and enjoy a free meal on us.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And we also have Ribs and Rides the 18th, and we're doing Thanksgiving catering orders as well with turkey, ham, sides, and it's pretty affordable for a lot of food. So
that's fantastic. I'm excited. And how was Trunk or Treats?
It was a blast. Chunky boys were out there. We talked about it a little bit last week too, and it was really fun. There were hundreds of people that came out, and I think they really enjoyed it. So it was fun, like to use that back area behind Rib Crib too as like a spooky trick or treat area too. So it was cool to see like Callaway and rest of the community come out.
That's exciting.
That is.
Glad you guys are always having some type of activity for the community and keeping us involved. It's huge. We're glad to have Rib Crib and all the companies that you guys represent here in our community.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Let's get to that Monday Night Football game last night. If you don't know and you're listening or watching on Facebook, Blab TV, Max is a Bears fan. Not a bandwagon. He's been a Bears.
There's nothing to bandwagon over here.
It's not like we're born down here in the South where you just pick whatever. Up north, where you're born is who you are a fan of. It's just how it is.
Yeah, right. Where you hail from is who you get.
Right.
I don't know.
It's very set lines.
What did you see from Justin Fields last night? And is he the franchise quarterback? Not the guy moving forward for this year. Is he the guy for the next 3 to 4 years that you guys are trusting in?
Man, I think he is. And I'm not trying to like overreact to his one good half that he had, but he's really making leaps and bounds from what he started with. And it's really tough because, I mean, I'm glad at least, it sounds like a really pessimistic take as a Bears fan, but I'm glad that everyone got to witness how poorly coached of a team we are on national television. Like, as Old School is talking about the offsides thing, like, you're a professional football player. I get it, like, once or twice or on a hard count, but, like, you're trained for those 2-minute drills and situations. Like,
never back-to-back.
No.
Never.
And, like, after the timeout, our illegal formation, it's like people are just, like, getting a little taste of what it's like to for the Matt Nagy experience. He'll probably be gone by the end of the year. He's lucky that Fields had the half he did, because I think people would have been calling for his head even more so because we were starting to get embarrassed by Pittsburgh.
And Pittsburgh, another thing I want to point out is Pittsburgh defense is not a slouch or anything.
No.
So the numbers that he was putting up last night were impressive.
Yeah, and he made some great throws, like the one to Mooney on the run.
And the one to Cam Hayward, that was...
Oh, wait, come on.
Got him.
I thought with the C you were saying Cole Kmet when he threw at the knee.
Hey, that Kmet kid, though, he's impressive as well. And then
he's from my hometown, actually.
Really?
Yeah, from Arlington
How cool is that? And then the Wildcat formation with Mooney getting the tutty there.
Yeah, that was a good play.
It was.
I like the young guys. I think you have certainly proven that you have a team that you can build around. It's only a couple of young, strong guys, but they've shown themselves, and especially last night, in those three guys, in Kmet, Mooney, and Fields, right?
Yeah.
And he broke out. And now if we can just push away that coaching staff somehow, bring in somebody with more of a young mind fit for these guys, and build around them in a couple seasons, you guys might have something. He's definitely a solid pick.
I hope
he
you're
was
right.
of the best this past season, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm a little biased, too. I know he's been a little, like... He's got a lot of hype behind him and gotten a lot of hate, a lot of love. It just kind of depends. But I think he's been... I mean, I wouldn't call him, like... I guess what I'm trying to get at is he's been better than how Mitch started out. How Mitch started out was pretty tough. What were you going to say, Old School? Sorry.
I was just going to ask you, given the fact that you guys are not going to have a first-round pick,
right.
Who's the GM there in Chicago?
I'm also not a fan of him, Ryan Pace. And see, that's what worries me, too, because he's restructured all these contracts because he thought we would be in a competitive window right now. I don't know if it was us making the playoffs with that really good defense with Mitch 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I think it was, actually. But he's kind of on the hot seat as well. I would have thought, he would have sold some guys at the trade deadline to kind of maybe help his job and kind of throw Nagy to the wolves, but I don't know. It's really tough because our ownership is pretty laid back until recently, where we might move out to Arlington Heights, but they're very hands off and just very kind of out of touch, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, they don't. It's more of an investment, not a sports team, I guess, for them.
Well, the reason why I ask is because, I mean, as Tim said, you've got some players, that the small little nucleus, but the roster overall, it needs to be overhauled big time, and without draft picks, I mean, I don't know how you're going to do it. That's why I was asking about the GM. I mean, how? And
he's been hit or miss on his picks too, which is
that's true. That's a good point. But I mean, from a long-term standpoint, for the Bears to be back in contention, there's a lot of things that have to happen.
Yeah,
maybe free agency. I just don't know. I don't know what the I know you said they reworked a lot of contracts. Do they have capital to spend in the free
It's going to be tough. It's going to depend where we move guys. It's going to be a tricky offseason, I think, for us. The other flag that stood out to me besides the taunting call, which, I mean, I don't want to get into that. When he threw the flag, too, did you see him hold his arm up, though? I was like, come on, man, it's the ref show. And I haven't complained to you guys about the refs one Bears game this year. That's the one game I will be ornery about. But, I mean, come on, like, they got to be held accountable at some point. Like, that guy shouldn't have a job today. Like, that was so bad. But anyway.
It was a great call.
It was a terrible call. And
Stand up for yourself, refs.
Roger Goodell just hates fun. But that defensive pass interference on Jalen Johnson on, like, the second and long when they were driving near the end of the game, that was so bad. Like, he didn't even hit him. He got pushed off, if anything. Like, it hit him in the back of his helmet.
Oh.
On, like, Claypool, I think it was.
Was it Claypool or Deontay Johnson? I can't remember exactly which one, but I remember the flag that you're talking about.
There was like 3 minutes left.
Yeah, there was a bunch of calls that were just like, and this is why I say that the goal as an athlete is always to keep the game out of the referee's hands.
Right.
You know what I mean? But sometimes things happen and they get that control in their hands. The next thing you know, oh, well, the spread's 4, but we can get them up to 5.
Oh, man, that's a big statement there, Dave.
No, I don't like to think like that at all, though. But I'm saying that is what I'm worried about possibly happen the more popular that betting gets.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Let's not even get into the
All I know is put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, but
I got to say about that.
He's right though. Like, not to get too tinfoil. A lot more of like the verified accounts on Twitter between like, come on, like this is like the 5th primetime game in a row where it's been like, what's going on here? Like, what are some of these calls? Like,
absolutely right, man.
Well, more importantly, what about the Chicago Bills? Can we talk about basketball for just a second before I get rid of you on this segment?
Yeah,
oh, man, they're in second place, third place, looking good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm loving
Let's
the
talk about
Bulls.
something positive.
Yeah.
And they beat the Nets. They beat the Nets last night by a healthy
decisively.
score. And
let's go.
Look at the Nets. What's
My boy
it?
Vucevic,
4 games already this year being under,
He's a baller.
scoring under 100 points.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a little alarming at this point in time.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the Bulls. That's about the one bright spot in Chicago sports right now. I think everyone's starting to see red.
I mean, it's early. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But half a game out of first place and me
Right.
sitting for a little bit. You guys have the opportunity to really take over first place in the next 2 days. Your young guys are looking good. You know what I mean? Getting Patrick over there. Cody's strong still.
Yeah.
I like him.
And it just looks like everyone's having fun. It looks like a great culture. Like, everyone loves Io DeSumo,
Right.
too. He's been a great spark plug for
Yeah,
us.
DeMar's
Shout
brought
out
a little bit
Alana.
of excitement and some fun over there. Everybody loves that.
Yeah.
You know, gosh, let him get
He deserves
let
it,
him get an
too.
open court dunk and the game changes.
Yeah.
He's so electrifying.
He's such a unique talent, too, because he's so bouncy, but he's got a great shot, too.
Right.
And he's been through such bad teams with the Wolves and Bulls. I'm happy for him. Like, he's worked hard and kind of stuck through it, so.
It's really good to see, man. And most importantly, for myself, is they're second in all of the NBA covering the spread. So they look
I don't know if I can
fantastic
say
as
that or
far
not.
as that goes.
Hey, as long as you're not promoting a specific site, you're good to go.
Oh, man,
Never,
track
you know,
it.
but right around-
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
you know, 70% only, and surprisingly enough, you guys might not believe this, but only Cleveland is covering the spread better than them at 73%.
Hey, and they
That's
just lost
awesome.
Colin
With the
Sexton,
plus
too.
minus 8.5 points. That's pretty unbelievable. So
I
good
love
for
that.
them.
How it's
They're
always
looking
like
great.
those random teams.
Right, but Chicago, so not only are they covering the spread, but they're also winning, so they're looking great and up on both sides, so that's fantastic for you guys.
All right, new trivia question. Which team is covering the spread at the highest clip or the best record against the spread this year in the NBA? No, we're going to keep it
with your boy, Boston T.
I kind of want to get into some of these MLB awards, but one other question that I had pertaining to the Bears was, if they were to move on with Nagy, would that set back the progression for Justin Fields?
I don't think so. I think it would springboard it.
Springboard it?
Because I think you can tell when Tabor's calling the plays and when Nagy is. Because when it's like 3rd and 8 and we run a curl 3 yards short of the first down, I know that's Nagy. And when we're doing play action or RPOs, I know it's Tabor because he knows that Fields is good on the run. And I guess Nagy, maybe he's scarred from Mitch. Maybe he just doesn't see the game the same. But I think just getting rid of him would really help.
All right. Well, we're getting into some college basketball tonight. It's going to be Jim Boeheim. We're losing some legends here. Jim Boeheim, Coach K. They're all on their farewell season tours this year. We'll talk about that when we get back. Don't y'all get out to Blue Sky Car Wash right now. Get that car clean while you're listening to this next break.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Mike Greenberg. Green.
The bigger story here is the Chiefs' offense. It is not bailing them out, and I can't believe it. I don't know why. They should have improved that offensive line. I think it is the play calling and the decision making, and I think a lot of it is the quarterback. And I can't believe it because I was ready to crown Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback I'd ever seen. And right now, he is playing below average NFL football.
Weekday afternoons from 2 till 4. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
Mid-South Lumber has you covered when it comes to home improvement projects, offering custom-built doors, MI windows, Trex decking, and James Hardie, as well as vinyl siding. Job site deliveries available too. Have farm animals? Check out the complete line of FRM and ADM animal feeds. Delicious Chautauqua wines are available at their Youngstown store. Mid-South Lumber, the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City and Youngstown.
Medicare on your mind? The annual open enrollment period is here, and you probably have questions about Medicare and the best options for your personal needs. Let Florida Blue Medicare help guide you on your journey to choosing the Medicare plan that is right for you. Our plans feature the benefits you want at a cost you can afford. We offer benefits such as $0 monthly plan premiums, $0 copay for primary care doctor visits, and $0 copay for prescription drugs. And we have additional benefits like dental, hearing, and vision coverage, and a free Silver Sneakers gym membership. Call Florida Health Connector, the authorized agency for Florida Blue Medicare, to get the answers you need and the service you deserve. Call today at 850-571-9006. That's 850-571-9006. Not all benefits are available in all plans. Florida Blue is a PPO and RPPO plan with a Medicare contract. Florida Blue Medicare is an HMO plan with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Florida Blue or Florida Blue Medicare depends on contract renewal.
The next evolution in sports talk radio. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. Inside the Slim Chicken Studio.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Make it so. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Slim Chicken Studio. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes. We've got Boston Tim, Old School, and Max DeLyden in the building with us. Run through real quick and tell us what you got going on tonight at Rib Crib?
Bay High, their band is going to be there, so all the profit, or not all the profits, some of the profits go to Bay High's band. And I know they're getting a new auditorium, I believe, too.
Oh,
so
cool.
Good stuff for the Bay High Fine Arts programs over there.
All right. Well, college basketball tips off tonight. It's going to be Coach K's farewell tour, Jim Boeheim's farewell tour, and we're going to get it started right with Coach K, even though I believe they're at the house tonight, right? Are they at the house or are they in Rupp Arena? I'll look that up real quick here. But what
aren't
do you?
They neutral for these?
It might be. It might be. I didn't look at where they're at tonight, though, so I'll check that out in a second. What do you guys think we're going to see from Coach K's final season with the Duke Blue Devils?
Well, I think we're certainly going to see some contesting games. You know, everybody's going to want to push to play their best against them, but I also think in the opposite, and in the same respect will be for the Duke players, they're going to absolutely, put themselves on the line this season to try to ensure Coach does not only the best he can during the season, but also pushes hopefully deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, when you got a legend like that as your head coach and this is his farewell tour, you're going to play every game as hard as you possibly can, and you're going to want to – the last thing you want to do is to have him go out with not having a good season. So I think his players will be giving everything they got all the way through.
Max?
And he may actually get a couple of calls from some refs, too.
Must be nice. I do, too. I think this is going to be a lot better Duke team than they had last year, which isn't a very hot take, I know. But I would hope none of his players quit on him. And I think they're going to be I don't know. I think they're right around 10 to 15 for me preseason.
All right. Well, that'll be a big game. Number 10, Kentucky at number 9, Duke tonight. That's at Madison Square Garden. And before that game, you'll have number 3, Kansas at Michigan State, also in Madison Square Garden. Will Gonzaga, who I believe has started the year as the number 1 team in the preseason AP poll, Drew Timm, he's supposed to be the player of the year. Will Gonzaga get it done this year? Will they run into another Baylor-type team?
Texas Timmy. You're right. They are plus 600 this year. They also had the number 1 recruit in all of basketball, picking up the 7-foot plus tall Chet Holmgren, who's been a YouTube sensation
looks like a creative
for almost 8 years now.
I mean,
he really
he's 7 feet tall.
He could really use some of that cafeteria food.
Yeah, but he weighs like $150.
Yeah,
I mean he's a stick out there.
Right,
But the man has got skill.
There's very little complaints nowadays about Kevin Durant.
That's true.
And you see already there's a lot of comparisons from a lot of very big-name analysts with him and Durant. Now, he's definitely younger and still has to sharpen up some tools. But the fact that he can dribble the way that he does and can shoot not just threes, but from 6 to 8 feet back, he looks really good.
Yeah, I mean.
Now it's just getting a little bit of weight on him and being able to control himself in the center.
The question will be, will some of these aggressive guards and guys that are, whoever is assigned to guard him, will they muscle on him? Will they beat him up a little bit? Because, we've seen these tall, skinny guys that can shoot.
He's 200 pounds now, not 150.
He's
Put some respect on his name. Put some respect on his name.
Do you think they gave him like the 20 pounds on the
they'd be getting a couple of inches too, so.
But, I mean... We've seen, I've seen some highlights from him in high school, and this kid has got skill. There's no doubt about it. And he's going to a program, that runs a real solid style of offense. It's not, I think it'll be interesting to see how he develops. It's been a turbulent, a little bit of an off season with their head coach having some personal issues, but he's got that behind him now. It'll be fun to see how Gonzaga, if they can stay at that number, if they come out number 1, which I think they are, how long they will stay there, or will another team come rising to the top?
Who wins Kentucky Duke tonight? Max.
Duke.
Also Duke.
Boston Sim.
Oh yeah, Paolo Banchero, baby, watch out for him.
So you're going. Give me some English.
Oh, it's fine. You guys can laugh about it now, but watch the stats after the game and tell me if you think it's funny.
I didn't even understand.
That's a player's name. He's going to be the best player
Say
in
it
all of
slowly
college
for me so I can understand it.
Paolo
Okay.
Banchero.
I think it was just your
Okay.
delivery I was
Yeah.
laughing at, not the player.
I didn't know you were saying a player's
So,
name.
Can teach me how to say that name? It's Paolo
Banchero.
My only question to that
So-
is why did you try to pow him high when you could have powed him low?
Paolo Banchero.
Very young. He'll probably be a 1 year, one and done player. But this could be the best year for him because it's Coach K's last year.
He's playing. Okay.
Right. And then, of course, they've got, AJ Griffin, who's probably going to be an
Is he a front court player or is he a back court player?
Yeah, front court player.
Okay.
He's going to be exciting. I'm excited to watch Duke this year, and I'm excited to watch it fire off tonight.
Give me Kentucky then. I'll just be different. And you don't know nothing from the preseason polls or anything like that. And both of these teams, outside of last year, always stay stocked up with great recruits.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Who wins the SEC, Max?
Ooh, I'll take a little bit of a dog. I think they're probably like the 4th or 5th favorite to win the SEC, but I'm going to go with Bama.
Hey, my friend.
I really like Oates. I had a great experience in T-Town this weekend.
Tell everybody about your great experience in T-Town.
Okay. I'll do this politically so I stay on the show. It was the coolest college experience I've ever been at for a football game. However, Georgia's still probably going to win the national championship. It was an underwhelming Alabama team, but that stadium is absolutely rocking.
Right.
Like Dixieland Delight, phenomenal. Low Places by Garth Brooks blasting. That stadium, like 105,000 people. Also, apologies to any LSU fans on there since you guys are coachless, but maybe Bama will pick up Coach O.
Boston Tim, who wins the SEC? I'm glad you had a great time in that. It's a raucous stadium, raucous environment.
Have you been to Sanford Stadium in Georgia yet?
Yeah, that's the next one.
When you go to that one, then
All right,
we'll
I'll
talk.
send you a video.
Have you been to Bryant Denny Old School?
I'm sorry?
Have you been to Bryant Denny?
I haven't been to Bryant
Okay, all right then. I haven't been to Between the Hedges either. I'm
Do you
just
guys
saying we
sing
don't have much of a
Dixieland
comparison. Was that?
No.
Yeah. Boston Tim, who
I
was
like Arkansas to shoot their way to the
Ooh, I like
championship this
that
year, boys.
pick.
They got the transfer, Chris Likeson from Miami, and he's lights out. So I'm excited to see him go over there and join Devo Davis. He's also a great shooter, so they got a good shooting combo there in those boys, and I like them to run it this year.
Old School.
I like Arkansas as well.
Then I'm going to split it with you guys. I'm surprised that no one's taking Kentucky because really, from what I've been reading today, it's pretty much Kentucky or Alabama, but there's not a bad pick. There's not a bad pick out of any of the 14 teams, but Arkansas and Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, either that was the semifinal game and then Alabama played LSU or it was vice versa, but both of these teams had good runs last year. I'm going with Bama. Let's go to the ACC. What do we have here? Let's start with Boston Tim.
I don't know.
Paolo Banchero.
Yeah, you guys already know who I like, man. I like Duke not only to win the ACC, but like I said, I like them to go for a long run to the playoffs and March Madness. I really would like to see them make it to the Final Four. That's not something I'm certainly would bet on, but I would like to see them make a deep run.
Old School.
I like Duke, but I think I don't know. I think Florida State's going to have something to say about that. And then also, I just think with Coach K retiring, I think there is just a motivation there that it's going to be hard to stop Duke from taking it.
So you're going Duke?
Yeah.
All right. I really like your honorable mention there. I'm going Florida State.
I'm going to go with Duke with Florida State finishing one game out.
Oh, nice. I'm really heavily considering going with Georgia Tech, but I don't know where they're because they had a great year last year. Will they have that same type of year this year? Let's go to the Big Ten, who hasn't won a championship in a good little bit, but which still great basketball conference. There's no doubt about it. Who wins the Big Ten?
It's not that great.
They're a good basketball
Just because I went to
conference.
Alabama over a weekend. I'd like to pat myself on the back for this move of integrity, and I will be taking Purdue to win the Big Ten.
Ooh.
And this clip is not getting out.
Yeah.
I will
We'll
be
be on your
sending this to
Twitter.
everybody that I know up north.
Boston.
I also am taking Purdue. They look good. They've got 3 kids that are possible NBA prospects and top probably 3 draft picks, 3-round draft picks, not altogether, excuse me. Tavion Williams is a great player, and then Ivy and Edgy, very, very solid guards. So I look for them to go far, not only just like Duke, to win their conference, but also to go deep into the playoffs.
I'm going to go with Michigan to win it. I like their coach, and he's got his son coming to play for him this year, and I just like the way that they're going about building that program. I think Michigan gets it done this year.
That's my answer too, old school. But an honorable mention to our guy Max's school, Indiana, baby. Woo! But I'm going with Michigan. Let's go.
Honorable mention or just mention?
Yeah, because it's for Max, it's honorable.
Thank you, David.
Because you're an honorable guy.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, man. This friendship is just continuously going up. Who wins the Big 12? Old school.
Old school?
I think it's going to be between Baylor and Texas, so I'm going to take Texas.
Okay. How about you, Boston Tim?
Unfortunately, I slightly agree that there's a good possibility that Texas will come out on top of the Big 12. But I also like actually Kansas this year. They're starting high, they're strong, they're fast, and you're going to see they'll move the ball a lot and put up a lot of points. Whether or not the defense keeps up with the offense is a big thing that we're going to question. So I think I will probably stick with old school in Texas.
I'll be fading Texas. We took one of their 5 stars when Shaka left. Their 5-star, one of their freshmen, Tamar Bates, baller. And shout out to my mom, Becky Delyden, KU alum, Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
So you're going Kansas?
You bet.
All right.
The wheat.
Oh,
he said you bet. I love that, man. And shout out to Miss Becky, no doubt about it. I'm going to go with Baylor here. Let's see if they can win the Big 12. You know how tough it is to actually go back to back, and then let's finish it out west. Who wins the Pac-12? I guess I'll start this one. USC? I don't really know. Can you put
UCLA?
Can Gonzaga get in there quick? In the Pac-12, let's see. You got 2 ranked teams. UCLA is up there, and Oregon is up there in the top 25. Outside of that, USC had a decent run at the end of the year last year, didn't they? But I can't go that way. I'm going to go with one of the 2 ranked teams, and I'll go with UCLA to bounce back a little bit this year.
Yeah. UCLA for me too, but I'm with you. Gonzaga should join the Pac-12. They don't even have to add football, just so they don't play like San Francisco every other game.
For real.
I hate to be the one to sweep it, but I agree. I mean, they're bringing back pretty much every significant player that they had, and then they also picked up the transfer out of Rutgers, Miles Johnson. He's very strong rim protector. That's something that you're going to need if you want to push deep into the Final Four. So I'm, between that and then they have the freshman coming in, 5-star wing guard Peyton Watson. They're very, very strong this year and deep, and that's what you need. So that's who I'm looking to win the Pac-12 is going to be the Bruins.
Old school.
Yeah, I like Oregon's team, but I just think UCLA is stacked, and they got a chip on their shoulder. So I'm going to take UCLA.
Everybody thinks that it was a fluke last year, and I think that they certainly, like you said, have a chip on their shoulders and intend to go out and prove that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Do we dare give our Final Four predictions right now?
Absolutely. Sure.
All right. Do we have to think about this for a second? Because who's going to go first on their Final Four predictions?
So obviously, it's such a random thing because however the 64 teams are put together for the possibility of the teams to land like this is so improbable. But just to throw out your top 4 teams, we'll say, for me, I'm looking at a Duke, of course, who I would hope would push that far deep into the playoffs. Gonzaga, I think, is a pretty obvious one. And then my 2 shots over here, my long shots, I would say, would be Texas and Purdue.
Ooh, that's a good-looking one.
This is the Final Four, not like regular season.
Well, just basically, essentially top 4 because, like how he was saying, how Boston Tim was saying that
2 or 3 of those teams could be put in the same.
They could be in the same bracket.
And you wouldn't know. Yeah.
I'll go with. I'm gonna fade Gonzaga here. Gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna go Kansas, Purdue, Michigan, and I'll go with Alabama. I really like the athleticism on their team, and they could be a really tough matchup for people just with the amount of points they score a game.
Listen, y'all, let me tell you, all you need to do is take a weekend trip to Tuscaloosa and your life will be changed. You'll become a winner, and then all of a sudden it's like, man, it doesn't even matter if that team wasn't that good Saturday night. Just the vibe from the stadium is enough to do it for me. Old school, where you at with your 4?
I've got Gonzaga, Alabama, Michigan, and of course, the University of Texas.
Wait, you have Alabama in your Final Four?
I do.
Oh, wow.
What about Georgia?
Not in basketball, no.
Hey, well, it was, 2 years ago that you would have said the same thing about Alabama. So Nate Oates came in and took that program over. I'll go with Gonzaga. I don't want to do it because you guys are doing it, but I'm going to go Alabama too just because of what Nate Oates has done with that team, the hard hat mentality that they have, and the ability to shoot the three ball. And when you get into the tournament, that three ball is just ever so important. So I'll go Gonzaga. Alabama, we had some nice things to say about UCLA, so 2 teams from out west there. And then Florida State was supposed to do it in 2020 and didn't get the opportunity to win the whole thing. Slid back a little bit last year. I mean, very minuscule amount, but put them back in there for this year. I know that those are probably going to be way off, but it is what it is. It's day one of a long season with college basketball. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Hey, Max, thanks for dropping by today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate
Yes, sir. Y'all get out there, support the Bay High Band tonight at Rib Crib, and then for all my veterans, Thursday, Rib Crib, 1 free meal.
My weather forecast overnight, scattered clouds, 52 to 58 for the low, light northeast winds. Wednesday should be partly sunny in the mid to upper 70s, an east wind 5 to 10. A weather front coming in Thursday and Friday with some clouds and showers. Could be a thunderstorm Friday. The highs generally in the mid to upper 70s Thursday and Friday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, best little lumber yard in Panama City and Youngstown. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida and Panama City Toyota are feeding families for the holidays. Hi, Randy Williams, General Manager of ESPN Northwest Florida. We genuinely appreciate the support of our community in the Panhandle, and we want to give back. ESPN Northwest Florida has teamed up with Panama City Toyota to provide Thanksgiving dinner for 20 local families in need. We'll pick 20 families and provide them a sumptuous Thanksgiving dinner with all the trimmings, including a smoked ham and turkey from Rib Crib in Callaway. Nominate a family in need by emailing espnpanamacity@gmail.com or text at 850-215-6290. Plus, all families nominated are invited to join us for a free delicious Thanksgiving at Quorum Steak and Egg in Callaway. Feeding families for the holidays from Panama City Toyota and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Certified Gearhead Motorsports on Panama City Beach, directly across from Pete Edwards Field. Certified Gearhead Motorsports offers full synthetic oil changes for just $30 plus tax. Diesel synthetic oil changes only $85 plus tax. Certified Gearhead Motorsports. They do it all, from oil changes to engine overhauls. Call now for an appointment, 850-532-8783. Let them work up an estimate or quote of the repairs that you need. Call now, 850-532-8783.
Damsel in Defense presents Defend Your Stance. Got an opinion? Time to defend it. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. This segment is Defend Your Stance. I'm David Hayes. We've got old school Boston Tim in the building here in the Slim Chicken studio. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Defend Your Stance is brought to you by Emerald Coast Damsel, Independent Damsel Pro for Damsel in Defense. Get out there to Lake Town Wharf this weekend and check them out because Holly Fair is here. I pity the fool who doesn't use our tool. All right, now you guys can answer this question. Is Justin Fields the franchise quarterback of the future for the Bears? Old school, lead us off.
Apparently, they believe he is. And the key phrase is...
I don't care about any appearance.
They believe it.
What do you believe?
It doesn't matter what I believe. It only matters what the Bears organization believes.
How did we let this guy have one? And kudos to him for the game that he had last night.
He had a good game.
But
He had a
every
good
other
second
game,
half.
he had a good second half, exactly. So now we bounce back. And, oh, man, everything that we've said about this guy is wrong to this point because he had a good half of football. Something clicked for a half of football. I need to see this happen for what is 17 times 2? 34 halves of football. That's what I need to see. You see what I'm saying? Like, to me, this just isn't enough because we've seen we've seen so many quarterbacks have flashes. We saw Mike White go off for 400 yards, and what happened in the next game? Injury, couldn't make it for the last 3 quarters, and then Josh Johnson comes in and has himself a heck of a game in a losing effort, but still a great game coming from a New York Jets quarterback. So for me, I think we need to back our foot off the pedal a little bit. We're moving too fast with Justin Fields because he had a good half of football. And guess what? The most important thing in the ball game was not accomplished last night. A win. Hey. Yeah, you got close. You got close.
The kid's hating over here, old school. I just can't. I mean, I don't know, man. And listen, I can't say that he's a franchise quarterback, but it's definitely worth continuing to develop around him and he himself. He's shown more flashes of capabilities than we saw out of Zach Wilson in the first 7 weeks before he was injured, and he did that in just one half. And granted, he's only done it in the one half. At least he's shown that capability.
Well, Zach Wilson had a really good first game. He had a very good first game. And then after that, not so much.
Not so much.
But, and again.
Well, not in America, then.
My whole thing is he's an incredible athlete. And he's an amazing physical specimen, 6'3", 220, run like the wind, throw a ball 60 yards in the air. But can he play the position of NFL quarterback? This is not college. The wide receivers in the NFL are barely open, and you got to be able to hit them. And in college, he had guys running 10 yards away from people. And this he's got to learn how to drop back, stay in the pocket, read the pressure, read his keys, and go through his progressions and then deliver a throw. I still haven't seen him do that. What we saw last night was a good athlete running around making plays, and that's not necessarily a franchise quarterback. He
Agreed.
Could be,
Agreed.
but he's not yet solidified in my mind. But my mind doesn't matter. It's what the Bears think.
I did like the connection that you saw between he and his receivers.
Yeah.
Now, the plays, like you said, weren't necessarily made as much as they needed to be, but the connection was there. They knew where to be when he was throwing the ball, and you could see the difference between that and somebody like Love, who we saw the other day have his first start. And granted, Fields has had a little bit more time on the field. He hasn't had the same amount of time with the players that Love has now being in his second season.
That's a good point.
There was no connection there, and that's a huge thing, I think, when it comes to being successful as a quarterback and then developing, like you said, the ability to stay in the pocket and make the proper decisions is just something that you're going to have to work on.
The top 6 tonight will be. Do you guys have your answers ready, or you want me to go ahead and dig into it?
You go ahead.
All right, so we'll start it off with the overwhelming answer here. Georgia at number 1. No problem there. Shouldn't be any discussion. Number 2, I think they benefited from the bye week more than any other team. Oklahoma, still sitting undefeated. Do I believe that they're the second best team in the nation? No, but just like I said last week, and it came to fruition, put these undefeated teams up there and let it figure it out from there. We saw Michigan State go down. Wake Forest, who could have been up there, they went down. So these dominoes will still fall in place. So Georgia, Oklahoma, throw Cincinnati up there, even though I think that they could be even further than 6 this week outside of the help that they got from the losses. But because they're still in that, they're pulling out wins instead of dominating these teams they should be dominating. Number 4 for right now, Texas A&M loss looks better than the Stanford loss for Oregon. So I've got Alabama there, then Oregon, then Ohio State. That's my top 6 for tonight. Do I think that it will resemble what the committee comes out with? Absolutely not. And I hope it doesn't. It gives us content and stuff to talk about on here.
I think that I'd be a little bit closer to what they have going on there, probably coming out in the AP top 25. I certainly don't believe that anybody could ever push Georgia off at this point, obviously, so we have to leave them at number 1. I do, just because I like, personally, Cincinnati. I think that they should be up in the number 2 spot. I'd like to see Oklahoma in the 3rd spot. And then I'd like to see Alabama coming in the 4th spot. And, of course, Oregon beating Ohio State earlier in the season for them puts me in the 5 spot, putting Ohio State, the Buckeyes, of course, in the 6th spot for me.
Old school, any differences there?
No, not really. The only I'm struggling with Oklahoma at 3. I think if Oklahoma makes the top 4, they ought to be in number 4.
Okay.
That's the only thing for me.
Well, they still got some tough. I did this little. Go ahead, because we only got a minute here.
No, I'm. Ohio State, I think, will eventually work its way in there. I would have them at 5.
Okay.
And then Alabama after that.
Okay. Good stuff.
I agree with you with the Oklahoma thing. I think certainly coming up, I believe they have Baylor, and if they can have a decisive victory over them, a top 15 team, it would be a lot easier for me to put them in the 2 or 3 spot.
According to a CFP prediction maker or whatever, you pick a team, then you pick if they're going to lose or win out or whatever. So I took Oklahoma. I had them lose to Baylor, win the rest of their games, and win the Big 12, and they still had a 94% chance of getting into the CFP. So really, even a loss in the regular season wouldn't hurt them as bad as what I think that it would, and maybe even should, because Big 12. But at the end of the day, we'll see more of these conferences' strengths when we actually get to bowl season and we see these conferences pitted up against each other in bigger sample sizes. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Hey, Max brought it up. We'll give it to you. Dixieland Delight. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. War Eagle.
Auburn football is back at Jordan-Hare for another Western Division battle against Mississippi State.
Bigsby jumps into the end zone. Touchdown, Auburn! Take Bigsby for the yard out.
Saturday with kickoff at 11 Central on your home for the Auburn Sports Network.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Have you been to Gin Gin Super King Buffet? It's not your average Gin Gin. Well, here's what you're missing. Gin Gin Super King Buffet has competitive pricing, a great selection, extensive buffet options perfect for family dining. Menu options also include top quality seafood, hibachi and sushi bar, or select their mouth-watering crab legs by order. Bring the family out to Gin Gin Super King Buffet, located next to Wonderworks at 9802 Front Beach Road on Panama City Beach.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey, cheesy, crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously. But as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Download the ESPN Northwest Florida app. Powered by Pepsi. WGSX Lynn Haven, Panama City. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
They said it couldn't be done. The Afternoon Underdogs are live in the Slim Chicken studio.
They say it can't be done.
Are we going to do what they say can't be done?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. We've got the Ravens and the Dolphins. 7 o'clock pregame Thursday night football right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Welcome back into the Slim Chicken Studio. I'm David Hayes. We've got Boston Tim, old school, in the building with us, and the Cleveland Browns, who just got Nick Chubb back for 2 games, and he went off in the last game against the Bengals. And Demetric Felton both test positive for COVID-19 over the last 2 regular seasons. The Browns are 13-6 with Nick Chubb and 3-3 without him. Cleveland averages 27.3 points per game in 19 games with Chubb and 18.8 points per game in 6 games without Chubb.
That's 2 possessions. I mean, we're talking 9.5 points. That's a touchdown and a field goal. A huge point differential for one individual player, and it shows. And it showed this previous week when he came back and they put up 40+.
And guess who they've got this week?
Well, you know who they've got.
I know who they've got.
And you know where they've got to go to play.
They're going to Foxborough to take on the Patriots, who, what do they got, 3 wins in a row right now? They're stopping the run. Man, are the Patriots back? Is that fair to ask?
I wouldn't necessarily say that we ever left. We didn't have a great season with
Let's
Cam.
pretend you left, okay? You left.
I love you, brother, but
You
y'all
left
were
for a
gone out of town last year.
Come on.
Y'all were out of town last
Just
year.
It was a
because
vacay.
you're not the number 1 team in the league doesn't put you down at the bottom. We were just an average team, and it's okay not to be great every year.
I understand your sentiment because it's the same situation like in a year where Alabama goes 10-2, and it's like the whole world's like, oh, Alabama's done, the dynasty is over, and it's like 10-2. Don't you know who you cheer for? And y'all are 6-4. What are you worried about?
It's hard to ever expect the Patriots to go back to who they were for a 20-year time period of excellence. I don't think we had a single season where we didn't have double-digit wins. It's really hard to compare anything to that or ever to expect to go back to that, especially on a consistent basis. But I think that we are having a good season, and we certainly have the capability of contending for the title.
I mean, I agree with that. I think that y'all are having a great season. And, getting all the guys back on defense is a huge help for you. To me, it looks a lot of a Bill Belichick type football. Score enough points to win and then let the defense, lead the way. And, and they're developing their rookie quarterback, and they're not asking too much of him like a lot of these rookie quarterbacks are being asked of. So I think that the Patriots have a chance to, depending upon the Bills can fix their problems, but otherwise, they very well will be competitive all the way to the end.
Well, we were talking about boxing yesterday and that Canelo Alvarez victory for him this last weekend. How about ex-NFL star? We've talked about him a few times last week when we were talking about great running backs. Frank Gore is going to be taking on ex-NBA star Darren Williams in a boxing match on the same card as Jake Paul and Tommy Fury.
Absolutely. And so this is what we know. We've known about this for now 3 months, right? Frank Gore had the opportunity to sign with 5 different teams in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
He's the number 3 leading rusher of all time with 16,000 even rushing yards. He also leads the 49ers in all-time rushing. So he's got plenty of stats and had the opportunity to come back, and he was more than healthy enough to do so. But he chose to focus on boxing because he already knew that he had this match coming up, and he wanted to be very serious about it. And now he's been in boxing for almost 10 years now. And the same thing with Darren Williams. Now, he's not a boxer, but he's been in MMA for almost 10 years, and he's also a part owner of Fortis MMA in Dallas, Texas, one of the more formidable MMA places in all of Texas, which is something big to say because they produce some of the greatest fighters in all of the world. Now, I'm very excited about this for Frank Gore's aspect because he truly believes that he can become a professional boxer. So I really like to see what he has to offer. He's very similar in size to Mike Tyson, but it's obviously a very different comparison. But I really am anxious to see him come out at 5'9". They're catching weight at 215 pounds. We're going to be seeing them fighting December 18th. So I'm really excited to see 2 true athletes come out here. While none of them have actually fought professionally before, I am anxious to see what they have to offer.
Yeah, I'm more interested in this fight than the main event there in Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. The only thing is Tommy Fury is a professional boxer.
Right.
So this is Jake Paul's first real test, we could say.
Absolutely. Same size, same weight class, and he's fighting somebody who has a professional record already.
All right, so that's something to monitor. December 18th, 2 weeks after Beatdown at the Beach 22. Get out there, start getting your tickets now because that's going to be a big pro-am fight. Lake Town Wharf, December 4th.
Absolutely. We're really excited about that. And this is the return of Big Mac. So Cam's coming back, guys. We're really excited. He was our very first heavyweight champion ever in Impact. And he'll be coming back to fight Bare Knuckles star, who's 3-0 out of Cage MMA from Birmingham, Alabama. His name is Anthony Reddick. So we're very excited to have him come out there and fight. Jason Faglier is going to be fighting. Tim Hester's coming back. He's the former 170-pound champion.
Oh, yeah,
and he'll be fighting also former 170-pound champion Justin Williams. Both of them having their pro debuts coming up. Justin, who you saw defend his title this past event. So we're very excited about the Pro-Am coming up. It's going to be huge, so get your tickets while you have the opportunity to do so because the event most likely will sell out this time.
Ohio State wide receiver Garrett Wilson will practice Tuesday after missing the Nebraska game, and the wide receiver, I can't remember his name because it was hard to pronounce, that stepped into Garrett Wilson's position last week, had a heck of a ball game, over 200 receiving yards. The Panthers add Matt Barkley. Nothing really to talk about there. We'll see what happens. OBJ did not get claimed off of waivers. He's a free agent. We don't know where he's going to sign, but teams have got to be looking out. You said, who did you say yesterday? Was it the Saints?
No, I said the Seahawks or the Packers.
Seahawks and the Packers. All right. But my thing is both of those teams, and you saw what
Coach Pete Carroll.
Yeah, Pete Carroll.
Asked
you'll
about
see.
It in the press conference, and he said, "Well, you'll see." Obviously, because he doesn't want to talk about it yet.
Right.
But they are one of the few teams that actually has the cap space without the need to move anybody at all to absorb the $7 million that Odell
Well, the
needs.
$7 million is out the window though now, right? Because he's a free agent.
$7 million will be paid by New York. He still has to get paid something, which I believe is going to be $7 million.
Okay.
That's for what I'm reading.
All right. So because he didn't get claimed on the waivers, but he did say this is my problem with the Seahawks, the Seahawks and 31 other NFL teams. He said if he gets picked by a non-contender, he's going to make life difficult essentially for that team. I don't know why you would want to bring that into an organization, especially with Seattle, where we saw, the trouble last year with Russell Wilson after the season saying a couple of things on the Dan Patrick show, and then all of a sudden that became a wildfire. One quick stat before we get into what happened in the NBA world last night. At the halfway point of the season, the entire AFC North and the AFC West are above 500. The only other time that every team in multiple divisions was above 500 was through week 9 or later was in 2008. So 13 years ago was the last time that this happened. And we talked so down about the Kansas City Chiefs this year, but they're only, a game and a half out of first place right now?
Yeah, they're looking
good. Or
good.
a game.
And really quick to go back, Jordan Schultz just an hour ago posted that Odell Beckham, while he can't specifically decide, his priority right now is looking at the Green Bay Packers. That's where he personally wants to land.
Okay.
So I'm anxious to see where he lands.
Oh.
He would be great alongside Devontae Adams.
You really think that way? I mean, you got two of the biggest divas that's ever played the game, and they're going to be in the same huddle?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's going to be a nightmare. If that actually occurs, that will be the death of the Packers.
The Packers are barely breathing anyway.
The Packers will not make the playoffs if that happens.
Ooh, write that one down.
I'm telling you. I mean, just think about having a diva like Aaron Rodgers and Odell Beckham. They're both going to be yelling at each other. Both people are going to be wanting to get all of the praise and all. That's just that's gasoline on a fire.
We got to put something on this because I think the opposite. If Odell goes to the Packers, not only do I think they're successful, I think they win the championship this year.
There's no way. No way.
Absolutely.
Let's find out where he goes, and then we'll make those bets.
I've got a dinner at the Rib Crib that says they go deep into the playoffs.
No.
How deep is deep?
If not winning the Super Bowl.
I mean, if you really believe
to the Super Bowl, if not winning
to the Super Bowl,
to the Super Bowl, you're on. There's not a chance.
I might even call in and make them deliver it.
DoorDash, old school, go get it.
No chance.
Send my grandpa.
I've never heard of a team with this many divas. And why would you mess up the combination or the relationship that he already has with his favorite wide receiver by bringing another guy in and he's yelling, "Give me the ball"? Why? This guy's doing fine. Why do I need you?
I just think it's the opposite. I think if he comes in and he can
complain that Aaron's not throwing the ball to him,
his pride and just pull it back like you see Antonio doing in Tampa, and that's an entirely separate thing. It's a totally different possibility. He was living. He's living with Tom Brady as well as having the relationship before in New England, so it's totally different. But if we could see something similar where he just reins back his pride and his personality for 10 weeks and takes a little bit of attention off Devontae Adams, I can see a similar thing happening that we saw with the Saints and Thomas, in him not only taking advantage of it, but getting favors from it, getting extra passes because of it, and a number of double-digit game in receptions, if that's a possibility.
So you're suggesting that OBJ should move in with Aaron Rodgers?
I think he moves in with Devontae.
Okay. All right. I just don't know because
create separation and allow Devontae to continue to do what he already does, but at a better and higher rate.
He would be with a better quarterback. All right.
There's no question.
There's no question about that. But the problem with Eli and with Baker Mayfield is when they stop throwing the ball to him, all of a sudden he's upset. And if you bring that, especially into a team who's got playoff aspirations, and all of a sudden,
difference.
He's playing on two teams previously that didn't have.
Well, the Giants had playoff aspirations when he was there. Come on,
2 Super Bowls over a certain team.
Yeah, I mean
8-8. They're terrible.
But they won the whole thing.
They did.
88 in what were?
Yeah, and you guys won 18 in a row, but you couldn't win the one that really mattered.
You're not wrong about that.
That feels so good for me to say that to you.
Boston Tim.
I need to go grab my football.
No, we just leave
Take
that
a
football
nap.
over there.
Steph had a big night.
Rob, call in. Don't let him do this to me.
Steph had a big night last night. He had 50 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, and the Warriors 127-113 win over the Hawks last night. Very entertaining game between Trae Young and Steph Curry. But the big ticket item from the NBA last night was Nikola Jokic and Markieff Morris. What did you see from that last night, and what has transpired today after that whole debacle?
Well, I certainly feel that myself personally, I have a different perspective on it than everybody else does, right? Everybody is saying that Jokic threw a cheap shot and it was simply retaliation. Well, listen, yes, it was retaliation, and it was a necessity. You cannot be bullied ever in your life, and that's what that was. He intentionally hit Jokic from behind, and Jokic did the exact same thing back to him. Now, we don't live in a world where you can go eye for eye and injure somebody and put them on the ground. But retaliation in the sports world it's necessary.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable and it's necessary. Now, I don't know necessarily that I would have done it the way that he did it. Maybe a hard foul some other time in the game to make it happen. But I don't think that his reasoning is wrong for doing what he did.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think that Jokic. He was merely reacting to what the other guy did, and he had every right to go back and push him in the back. I mean, if you're so bad, why are you pushing him in the back? Why don't you go around in front of him and push him? Then I would say, okay, this guy's standing up. You're a bad man. But if you run up and push somebody in the back, that's a cheap shot. I mean, that's just, I can't use the word for somebody that does that on the air.
The thing
Whisper
is,
it in the microphone. It won't be so loud.
The Morris brothers are both.
It's a kitty cat move.
Yeah, the Morris brothers are both known. They're renowned. You can look up videos on YouTube specifically of the Morris brothers in poor play. That's what they do. They're known for it. They're not necessarily Ndamukong suing anybody and kicking them in the private areas.
Or Myles Garrett.
They're known for hard fouling, from hitting people from behind. They're known for pushing people out of bounds. They're known for doing things after the whistle's been blown. They're just known as being dirty players. And now that there was a response to them being a dirty player, which is proven on video that he did it first, he wants to be defended and he can't be taken off the court. I mean, he's just carrying himself out. It was embarrassing that he laid on the ground.
He's laying
after
on
that,
the
way
ground
that he
crying
did.
like a 2-year-old.
I mean, come on. And then his brother wants to come out and try to defend him.
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting.
As a
to me.
keyboard warrior, knowing that his family is filled with nothing but Titans. I don't know what they were thinking. Now they're just escalating it off the court, which is fine by me. We've got the Pro-Am coming up December 4th, beat down at the beach. We would love to have the Jokic brothers and the Morris brothers live here in Panama City Beach, fighting in the ring for us. So come on out, boys. We got you right here first. We'll take you out live before Dana White does.
I do have a question about that. Not necessarily the brothers, but say you were to have 2-on-2 in MMA, you're in the octagon. Would it be tag team like wrestling, or would you just have both of them, all four of them in the ring at the same time? Because I could really get behind a little 2-on-2 action. You knock one of them down, and all of a sudden it's 2-on-1.
Yeah, we did. First and foremost, I think we need extra support, no matter what. That's right. Have them all fighting at once. I have seen multi-person fighting, and they've done 5-on-5s and lower. And they fight all at the same time. Now, I don't know if specifically in Florida if we're certified to do that. Yeah. My supposition would be that Rob would pick the guys closest in size and have them fight one fight at a time. Yeah. And I would pay whatever you ask me to pay to be there live to announce those fights.
We got to take a break, but I really like the thought of tag team MMA, man. Now
we can make it happen. This is Florida. DeSantis said we can make anything happen here. Thank you, Ron.
Possible. All right, you're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got some big games, but tomorrow night, Tiger Talk right after the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll be right back. Stick with us.
The weather forecast overnight, scattered clouds, 52 to 58 for the low, light northeast winds. Wednesday should be partly sunny in the mid to upper 70s, an east wind 5 to 10. A weather front coming in Thursday and Friday with some clouds and showers. Could be a thunderstorm Friday. The highs gently in the mid to upper 70s Thursday and Friday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by All About Garage Doors, your garage door repair specialist. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd. So, new rule from this point forward. Sometimes quarterbacks are better. Dak without Dez. Baker without OBJ. Folks, it's not about collecting talent, as Belichick says. We're building a team. This team's never needed OBJ. They've got two excellent tight ends.
This is The Herd.
And the story out today.
Weekdays 9 to 11 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you ready for the best pizza in Bay County? It's Paparazzi Gourmet Deli, with over 100 years of recipes passed down through 4 generations. Paparazzi Gourmet specializes in New York and authentic Italian-American specialties from the deli, prepared foods, and of course, pizza. They even cater for all occasions. Click paparazzigourmetdeli.com to check out their daily specials. Come taste the difference at Paparazzi Gourmet Deli, Thomas Drive next to Goodwill on Panama City Beach. Call 850-588-8244 for fast pickup and DoorDash.
Hear that? That's the plumpest, juiciest hot dogs you've ever seen getting their grill on. But we both know what'll make it sound even better. Oh yeah, it's a Pepsi to go with your hot dog. Because when you're chomping on America's favorite meal, relish, mustard, and onions perfectly blending into a crescendo of flavor, there's only one thing that makes everything about that moment better. A cold, refreshing Pepsi. See what I mean? It's like music to my ears. Hot dogs. Better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
When you want a big-time sports show, tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
I'm going to send you up against the best.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Live from the Slim Chicken Studio.
Grenade for speed.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Slim Chicken Studio. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Give me a call right now on the Rib Crib hotline, 850-215-6290. Let's play a little trivia brought to you by Merchant Management Group, 850-747-0664. They're located in downtown Panama City, and they will help you get taken care of. The question for today is, what feature of Cardinal Stadium is unlike any other university-operated stadium? Give me a call, 850-215-6290. Let's get back to the college football world. I'm David Hayes, along with Old School and Boston Tim. Is Oregon a lock for the college football playoff at this point in time? What do you guys think? They already started there at number 4, and their schedule is getting easier outside of the Pac-12 conference championship game. Old School, are they a lock?
I don't think they are. It doesn't get much easier than Stanford, and they lost to Stanford. So there's no guarantee with Oregon. I mean, they play really good, and then they play really bad. So I think if Oregon wins out, yeah, they will be in. If they don't, they won't.
Boston Sim?
And I concur with you. That they have to win out in order to make it. And on top of that, I think they're going to need somebody else to lose. They're going to need a Cincinnati or an Oklahoma to lose because of the fact that, Cincinnati's already above them. Oklahoma has a harder schedule ahead of them. So if they don't come out with one loss, I think that Oregon makes it in. If somebody does have one, or if somebody does have a loss, they make it in. If somebody does not, if one of those two teams does not, Oklahoma or Cincinnati, then I think they would get bumped out in the last week of the season.
Oregon has Washington State, Utah, and Oregon State left.
The only thing that I can picture is if Georgia, when they play Alabama in the SEC championship game, if they throttle Alabama, then Alabama could fall out. But they have to really beat Alabama bad, which I don't know that they can. But we'll see.
Let's get to the Rib Crib hotline. We got a caller. You are on the air. Tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
I'm Josh calling from Panama City.
Hey, Josh. What feature of Cardinal Stadium is unlike any other university-operated stadium?
The field rolls out from underneath the stadium out into the sun.
That is a great answer. It's not the answer that we're looking for, though, but that is a great answer. Man, really good. Thanks for the call, Josh.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, 850-215-6290, courtesy of the Rib Crib hotline. Let's get another caller on the air here in a few minutes, though. Gonna need, hey, Coach Olds, I'm watching you call in, but do me a favor and hang up and call right back so I can get you on the correct line. All right, guys. Back into the college football world. What you got, Boston?
Well, I was going to say that this will be actually the first year coming up where they're changing the name. I don't think they've decided on the name of the game, but the game that we were just talking about a second ago where I was wanting to get into was the Oregon State game. I think the last game of the season for them is going to be their biggest challenge because it always is. It was formerly known as the Civil War Bowl, and I think that it's it was named that for a reason because regardless of how the teams play throughout the season, they always have a great battle that last week of the year. And I think that's really going to make a difference for Oregon, along with, of course, whatever happens with the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get those interstate type games, Georgia Tech,
right.
Florida, anything else, Florida State, Miami, there is just a certain – those guys know each other. They've played against each other. There's bragging rights there, and it just brings out a game where anything can happen. So, I mean, Oregon they don't have an easy way to go.
All right, let's get back to the Rib Crib hotline. Coach Olds is there. What feature of Cardinal Stadium is unlike any other university-operated stadium?
There's no bench seats. They're all stadium seats.
Absolutely. That's exactly what we were looking for. Hey, Coach Olds, you just won $25 to one of the following restaurants: Hershey's Ice Cream Shop, Mr. BG's Diner, Panorama Pizza, Rafield Seafood, or Shore Dogs. If you do me a favor and text that answer to our text line, 850-215-6290, I'll get you taken care of from there.
All right, text the answer?
Not the answer, just which restaurant you would like. And if I need to repeat the restaurants to you, I'll do that via text.
Thank you. Do it. Good take. Thank you.
All
Thanks,
right.
Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Coach Olds.
A couple other cool stats about the Oregon State games. The 124th matchup coming up for them, and also their basketball matchup holds the largest collegiate record for most men's basketball games played against one another at 354. So their rivalry rolls deep in all sports. So it's really cool, and I'm excited to see.
And there's a lot of jealousy there. I mean,
right.
I mean, the Oregon State just can't. They hate Oregon because of Phil Knight.
And what an opportunity for them to come in.
Oh, and
last
play
game
spoiler.
of the season.
Play spoiler.
And really turn things around for everybody. What do you think, David?
I'm over here working on a trivia winner.
We were talking
Repeat
about
the
Oregon,
question.
Oregon State.
Yeah.
All right. So these inner rivals, and Oregon is known for the flashiness, the Phil Knight, the uniforms. Oregon State is more of a blue collar type of school. They're jealous. I mean, and I don't know if that's a good term, but
envious, maybe
envious,
a little, a step below jealousy,
and an opportunity to spoil Oregon's season. Oh man,
you know that it's just like Alabama Auburn in a sense. You know what I mean? Like we don't put the same parameters on it because it's out west, and we don't know as much about that rivalry as we do Florida State, Florida, and Alabama Auburn, and all of those big time rivalries. But yeah, it's a huge one, I think, and I love the comparison there of kind of blue collar, white collar. You got Oregon as a white collar team and Oregon State as a blue collar team, and something that we're seeing definitely in the NFL world. I don't know as much in the college football world. For a while, we've seen the white collar teams get the better of the blue collar teams here recently, right? In the NFL, I think we're starting to see that change a little bit. The blue collar team, especially in the playoffs, but here we are in the regular season, and we're seeing these blue collar teams, these hard working teams, these gritty teams take over from or win the ball games against the fancy finesse type team. So, you get into a close ball game. I think the only thing that really is in the favor of Oregon here is that they're at the house taking on Oregon State. So that'll be something to monitor when you get to that game. But as far as these next two games, Utah, maybe because they got them at the house, but I think that they'll skate through all three of these, really.
I mean, I understand the idea of a home field thing with Oregon, but I can tell you a few years ago when Georgia, this is before Kirby, but when Georgia was highly ranked and Georgia Tech came into the school there between the hedges and beat them, and Georgia Tech went over and destroyed all the hedges. They were breaking off the limbs and carrying them out with them. I mean, it was to them, it was like the greatest thing that they could have done is to go into Stanford Stadium between the hedges and beat Georgia. And they decided we're taking some of these hedges with us. And they did. And, unfortunately, Georgia Tech had to pay for the replacement of those hedges, but I'm sure they loved every minute of it.
Now that's a proper way to celebrate a victory.
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
No need to throw golf balls or be ridiculous. Take a couple hedges home as souvenirs. And, lacquer them up and hang them up in your man cave for the rest of your life.
We've seen that guys, whenever they're going to the bowl game, especially the Rose Bowl, they'll put a rose in their mouth. Well, those guys from Georgia Tech were walking off with the hedges in their mouths. It was a big time deal for a school that always feels second citizen to Georgia.
No doubt about it. Is this an overreaction or is it right on point? Mac Jones, not Jamar Chase, this is via the NFL.com, will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. We've been so high on Jamar Chase, and it's been nobody else in the race. Is Mac Jones sneaking up on him after kind of a down week for sure against the Browns? What do you think, Old School?
I don't think so. I mean, Mac Jones has been impressive, but he hasn't been asked to do a whole lot, whereas Jamar Chase has been asked to be the firepower, the combination of him and Joe Burrow. He's been asked to take the top off the defense. He's been asked to do a lot, and he's done it. So no disrespect to Mac Jones, but I don't think there's any comparison between his performance and Jamar Chase.
Boston Sim, any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I agree with you. There's a couple other people that we really don't ever talk about that are really in contendership for Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, they're
Offensive Rookie
of the Year, excuse me. but they're typically, not going to receive an award as linemen. But we've got a couple of good solid platers in Creed Humphreys and Rashawn Slater who deserve a little bit of attention. But as far as that conversation goes, I do agree with Old School as of right now. He just hasn't quite gotten up there. I think he's up there in the conversation now, which is nice, especially being a Patriots fan. But I don't think he's done anything overwhelming to carry the team. He's simply just done what he's been asked to do and stayed within the lines of the Belichick plan. And he's done that very well. I wouldn't say necessarily that he's a serviceable quarterback. I think he's a little bit better than that with room to grow. But Jamar, like you said, has taken, not only a lot on his shoulders, but for the most part, the team, and carried them successfully, especially after the verbal lashing that he received from most of us at the beginning of the season for his drops.
Yeah.
And he's really turned that around, and he's put on a number of very impressive games, and he's done so silently, which I really enjoy.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, this award so many times is based on, flashiness, putting on an ESPN moment where it gets played on SportsCenter multiple times. And, Jamar Chase has had those. Mac Jones has just been out there doing his job, doing what Belichick wants him to do, being accurate with his throws, not trying to do more than he's asked of it. And I think that's why, the physical ability to run and catch and make big plays is going to put Jamar Chase over the top.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, pay the bills. When we get back, we'll look at the NFL playoff picture, where we're at in that whole situation, because there's some pretty intriguing games that could come, but we're a long, long way away from that. But it's always fun to look at, maybe get into some waiver wires since it's Tuesday, and that's what's going on today. We'll be right back.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Coach James Hale Show.
Coach Hale, you've got a heck of a great show. I was listening to you, and I had my buddy in Gainesville call me, and he brought it up. I told him, I said, you know what, man? I said, I got to go. I got to listen to Coach Hale. Great job you guys are doing, and great job for local high school football, college, the whole thing. You've got a wonderful show.
Weekday morning, 7 to 9 on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Let All About Garage Doors service your garage door today. All About Garage Doors has 24/7 service at no extra charge. Right now at All About Garage Doors, they will service your garage door starting at $99. And that comes with a free set of rollers. Yes, you heard right. They'll service your garage door starting at $99 plus a free set of rollers. Call All About Garage Doors now. 850-842-9188. Veteran owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likas with today's Car Clinic Minute. When you think fresh air, do you picture Himalayan mountains, Tahitian beaches, or Japanese oxygen bars? How about closer to home? Say, your garage. Yep, when I come back, I'll help you breathe easier.
The Car Clinic Minute.
It's Bobby Likas Car Clinic, brought to you locally by Hewitt Tire and Auto.
Call 850-769-7323.
Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing.
Visit them online at HewittTire.com.
On Airport Road in Panama City.
That's 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Need a breath of fresh air? No need to fly to exotic places. Just hop in your car. How's that, since air inside your car's 10 times more polluted than air outside? Passenger cabin air filters. Like those in your home, these filters screen out pollen, dust, and exhaust. Many cars, like Taurus, Windstar, and Monte Carlo, already have air filters. If yours does, include an air filter change by a qualified technician with your annual automotive checkup. Almost like being in Tahiti. I'm Bobby Likas. Like us, you'll love us.
Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local. Text or call into the Slim Chicken Studio. 850-215-6290.
Always be sure to listen for the dial tone.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here in the afternoon. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes. We've got Boston Tim, Old School, in the building. Where is the place to go to not only watch football, but specifically those Auburn Tigers who play at 10, well, kickoff is at 11. 10 o'clock right here on our air, Mississippi State and Auburn. Where should you go watch that game, Boston Tim?
Oh, Pineapple Willie's. I always give you the address, but I think you're right, Old School. I don't think you need to know the address. It's the one and only Pineapple Willie's.
It's
the
the
most
one and
geographically desirable spot in all of Florida, right there on the beach, the most beautiful beaches in the world, which they're actually extending right now. It's very, very interesting to watch the work that they're putting in out there on the beach to make it bigger and more beautiful. We're fortunate for that, but yeah, Pineapple Willie's and the Pier Bar, come check us out. More than 20 70-inch TVs, specials going on all the time. And, of course, if you let them know that you heard about it on ESPN 104.3 Northwest Florida, we'll get you a free appetizer during the Auburn game.
All right, so let's look at the NFL playoff picture here, boys. Maybe I'm only wanting to do this because the Tennessee Titans right now are in first place in the AFC, not just the AFC South, but the AFC. But let's stick with the... Well, I was just about to dispatch that, and let's go with the more intriguing conference right now, and that's the NFC. Better teams, as far as record goes, they're in the NFC. I mean, you do have the Falcons, who are in a playoff spot right now as the 7th seed.
Which is why the AFC is actually more intriguing, to be honest with you. We have 11 teams within 2 games of each other.
That's not possible.
You're between 7 and 2 and 5 and 4.
Yeah.
So you're really looking a lot more interesting to me in the AFC, but I'm also an AFC homer. I do think the better teams atop the league are in the NFC overall.
But still some pretty intriguing matchups at this point. A lot of things are going to be shaking and baking. But first round bye in the NFC is going to be the Cardinals, who are sitting at 8-1, best record in football. Then next, your 2 seed is going to be the Packers. And if the season ended today, they would be taking on the Atlanta Falcons, who are 4-4. So that would be easy money. OBJ or not, they're moving on to the next. They're moving on to the next round. Then the 3rd seed in the NFC is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 6th seed in the NFC, also in the NFC South, 5-3, the Winston-less, the Drew Brees-less New Orleans Saints. So you would have possibly a 3rd game between the Bucs and the Saints right there. And then finally, this game is probably the one that jumps out the most to me on the side of the NFC. If these 2 teams were to be able to play in the playoffs, what a game you would get out of it. Number 4 seed, the Dallas Cowboys at 6-2, and the 5th seed is the Los Angeles Rams at 7-2. So that would be a heck of a game. I would definitely be interested in that one. Well, I'd be interested in all of them. They're playoff games, and you never know what will happen in a playoff game. In the AFC, the Titans for right now have the first round bye at 7-2. They still got a lot of games to play, but let's look at number 2 and number 7. The Baltimore Ravens are your 2nd seed in the AFC. 7 is the Mac Jones-led New England Patriots. So what a game that could be. Run game on run game, essentially. Then the Chargers are the 3rd seed in the AFC at 5-3. The Steelers are the 6th seed in the AFC at 5-3. And then finally, last but not least, you would have the Bills and the Raiders as the 4 for the Bills and the 5 for the Raiders. Both of those teams at 5-3. So you got a lot of 5-3 teams, 4 5-3 teams, 1 5-4 team in the AFC, and you got a lot of teams with 1 or 2 losses in the NFC, but also the Atlanta Falcons.
A strong
How is
point.
that possible? How is it possible that Atlanta is 4-4?
Well,
you left. You left as a fan, and they were like, you know what? Finally, all that dead weight is off our shoulders.
I'm glad I did something for them because they sure as hell didn't do anything for me.
All right. Well, they seem to always put themselves in the position somehow, while embarrassing themselves all season, to be in the race. And thankfully for Patriots fans, but unfortunately for Atlanta fans, they always seem to come up a little bit short.
I mean, it's amazing. The 4 games that they've won, they've had big leads. Then they've lost those leads. And then they've come back to win. Last 2 minutes, Matt Ryan drives them down. They kick a field goal to win. I mean, that's not a very good recipe for having to actually make it into the playoffs. So I really don't think I have to worry about Atlanta making the playoffs.
Who knows? You could have a Falcons versus Bucks game.
I'd make a bet with you that Atlanta does not make it. I'd take you somewhere nice.
Rib Crib?
If Atlanta makes it, you deserve to go somewhere nice. I would take you somewhere nice, too.
Atlanta's not going to make the playoffs.
So you had for the Falcons, kind of looking at their schedule real quick, though, they lost big to the Eagles in week 1. Mm-hmm. Then they lost big to the Bucks in week 2. Mm-hmm. They eked out a win against the Giants in week 3, 17-14. Then the Washington football team got the better of them, 34-30, so that leaves them at 1-3. Then they beat the Jets. They beat the Dolphins. They lose to the Panthers, which was a winnable game for them right there. 19-13, the Panthers won. And then last week with that win against the Saints, which, yeah, some injuries there, but the Saints' defense has been the driving force for them this year. So kudos to them. You know, they're doing a lot better than what we had them pegged for this year at 4-4. Will they make the playoffs? Not only no, but you know where I'm going with that. Tonight is the night to make your waiver wire pickups. Boston Sam, anything jumping out off the page at you in the world of waiver wires and fantasy football?
Well, quarterback world.
All right, so
Matty Ryan.
Yeah, Matt Ryan is. So I have a little list here of some names, and all of these names will be under 60% rostered.
Right.
But Matt Ryan, I think, is available in about 73% of leagues. So if you can get your hands on Matt Ryan, I'm right there with you. Matt Ryan would be the way to go.
Right, and I just feel like, you know, when he plays against teams like the team he's about to play against, they're going to have to be coming from behind a little bit and putting up points, and that's what you want in the fantasy world. It's not what you want as an Atlanta fan, to always have to come back and drive down the last play or fourth quarter drive, 2-minute drill and things like that, but that's the Atlanta life, unfortunately. And thankfully for Matt Ryan fans, that's why he has 60,000 passing yards in his career.
Mm-hmm. And you've got a lot of injuries in the quarterback world and on the fantasy side of things. Well, on the football field as well, because if they're not helping you in fantasy, they're not helping you where it really matters in the real football, on the real football field. But some injuries here. Kyler Murray, we don't know exactly how long he's going to be out. Aaron Rodgers dealing with COVID still. Possibility he misses the game against the Seahawks. Russell Wilson should be back. Tua Tagovailoa, not sure what's going on there with the finger as a late scratch in that last game Sunday. Trevor Lawrence missed a couple of snaps there in the third quarter of that game against the Bills. Sam Darnold, unless you like negative points, you shouldn't mess with him anyways. Mike White with a forearm injury. Zach Wilson with a knee injury. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick with a hip injury. Joe Burrow, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, and Tyrod Taylor will all be on bye week. So it's slim pickings, but Big Ben, Teddy Bridgewater. Big Ben going up against the Detroit Lions. Teddy Bridgewater up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Baker Mayfield at New England. I'd probably stay away from that game, especially with the lack of Nick Chubb there at the running back position. Trevor Lawrence is at the Indianapolis Colts. And then Heineke up against the Bucks. I would... Even if the secondary is a little injured right now, I'd probably stay away from that. And then Jimmy G for 2 weeks in a row has led the quarterback position in the fantasy world. So, but he's got the Rams. And I believe that's a Monday Night Football game. So, I don't know. I think I would rather take my chances with Big Ben in that Detroit line. Even though by the second quarter or so, they'll just be running the ball because it's like, hey, did y'all see Najee Harris at the end of the game and the interview with, I think it was maybe ESPN Deportes or something like that, but it was a Spanish guy that was asking him questions or whatever, and he just grabbed the mic and took the interview over. And then by the halfway point of the interview, he was trying to come up with Spanish words, so they pretty much settled on Feliz Navidad. He was like, Feliz Navidad, and then he started singing this song to the guy. Anyways, Najee Harris is gold. In the running back world, you got 5 options. Wait, let's go back to those quarterbacks, though. Out of the 5 quarterbacks, and you need one for this week, which guy do you go with? I'm going with Big Ben against the Detroit Lions.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, if you're going to look, why would you not take Big Ben? I mean, he's going against Detroit versus, Trevor against Indianapolis or, the other ones. That's a natural one. That's an easy one.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you on that one. It may be surprising to you guys, but I also like Taylor Heineke against Tampa, only because I think it's going to be the opposite. I think Big Ben will get a little bit of a lead and be handing the ball off to Najee. He'll probably have between 20 and 25 carries in that game, whereas I think Heineke with them in Washington will have to be coming back, and you'll probably see somewhere upwards of 30 to 35 and possibly even more passes out of him in order to try to keep a close game between them and the Bucs.
A lot of injuries in the running back world. My 5 options for you here: Devontae Freeman, Ravens running back, going up against Miami on Thursday Night Football. Jordan Howard, Eagles running back. This would be my primary one for you guys. He's took off since being elevated from the practice roster or from the practice squad to the roster. Jordan Howard at the Denver Broncos, but we know how that Broncos run game can be and what they did to Zeke and Tony Pollard against the Cowboys last week. Ramondre Stevenson, is there something going on with Damian Harris in the New England Patriots?
I believe it was a low ankle sprain. If I read that,
maybe concussion.
Double check
because I'm seeing here in the injuries head in parentheses.
Yeah, I see the head also, but last I read, I'll double check for sure. We'll find out what it is.
Ramondre Stevenson also dealing with some head stuff.
Jeez.
Yeah, so maybe stay away from Ramondre.
I would either way. I would never, if it were up to me, I would never put a Patriots running back in because there's no consistency in that game. They actually keep that quite sporadic, which is something that they're known for. And for me specifically, that's why I would never take for the wire.
Well, here's another one that stands out to me because Chase Edmonds, James Conner had a heck of a day, a field day the other day, and Chase Edmonds dealing with an ankle injury. But we did see one touchdown run anyways from Eno Benjamin. They're taking on the Carolina Panthers. Maybe that's a guy that you could fit in there to your flex or to your RB2 spot and get some production if you're lacking running backs at this point in time. So Devontae Freeman against Miami Dolphins, Jordan Howard at the Denver Broncos. Let's leave Ramondre Stevenson out of here. How about the New York Jets running back Ty Johnson, but they're taking on Buffalo in Buffalo. Out of those 4 guys, old school, which route would you go?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I think Father Time has caught up with Devontae Freeman a little bit, but I like the matchup against the Miami defense.
Time has caught up with us, and we got to go. We'll be right back. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, riding with the Afternoon Underdogs.
ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for college football.
It's a critical SEC West showdown in Oxford, Mississippi, when the 16th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels welcome 13th-ranked Texas A&M.
For the end zone! Caught! Touchdown!
The Aggies are riding a 4-game winning streak, while Ole Miss is undefeated at home this season. 13th-ranked Texas A&M, number 16 Ole Miss.
Listen in Saturday night at 5:30 with kickoff at 6.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
My weather forecast overnight, scattered clouds, 52 to 58 for the low, light northeast winds. Wednesday should be partly sunny in the mid to upper 70s, an east wind 5 to 10. A weather front coming in Thursday and Friday with some clouds and showers. Could be a thunderstorm Friday. The highs gently in the mid to upper 70s Thursday and Friday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, best little lumber yard in Panama City and Youngstown. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
As a proud graduate of Auburn University, Waylon Thompson is excited to sponsor Auburn football this season. Jay Manuel of Manuel & Thompson hopes that players and fans alike remain injury-free. But if you find yourself injured through no fault of your own, call us at Manuel & Thompson. Helping injured people, that's what they do. Manuel & Thompson, 850-785-5555. Manuel & Thompson, 850-785-5555.
Hi, this is Coach James Hale, here to tell you about the best car wash on the beach. Blue Sky Express Car Wash. Number one, they're locally owned. You know Matt and his employees will do a great job. Number two, Blue Sky Car Wash recycles their water. Number three, they have the latest technology available. It does an incredible job on your vehicle. Blue Sky Express Car Wash on Back Beach Road is right near Home Depot. Tell them Coach Hill sent you.
Barbaritos has been committed to serving farm fresh food since February 20th, 2000. For starters, Barbaritos food is made with love, straight from the heart. Every morning we begin preparing our food from scratch, from chopping fresh tomatoes for sauces to mashing fresh avocados for guacamole. Barbaritos cares about food. From serving char-grilled grass-fed beef as well as hormone-free chicken breasts to the amazing tofu for our vegan friends. Farm fresh is more than just a motto. It's Barbaritos' mission.
Barbaritos. We make it fresh. You make it yours.
We are live and local. From Camp Helen State Park to the historic Martin Theater.
Definitely time to let our hair down and have some fun.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs. Live from the Slim Chicken Studio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Slim Chicken Studio, Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes. We got Boston Tim, old school, in the building with us. This is the last segment of the day, and it's not gonna last long. Certified Gearhead Motorsports, home of the $30 synthetic oil change. Man, what a place to go.
Absolutely, and they're still looking for help, guys, so go down there to Hollywood Drive and check them out. They're willing to hire ASE certified mechanics or anybody willing to just work. So come on down. They're expanding and looking for help, so check them out.
I'm going to start me a merch company, and it's just going to say, just work, baby, work.
Do your job.
That's a good one, too.
That's a Patriots motto.
Yeah, it should be every single football team's motto. Let's get into, we told you yesterday, we'll get into the playoff matchups for our local teams here. Marianna is going to be visiting Baldwin. Atlantic Coast is traveling to Niceville to take on the Eagles, who are 9-1, having a heck of a season. Northview 5-4, taking on Bozeman in Bozeman, who has a record of 6-4 to this point of the season. A couple of 8-2 teams here. Sneeds at Liberty County. Weewaw hits
matchup of the week, probably.
Yeah, right. Very well could be. Weewaw comes in at 4-6. They're on the road heading to Madison County, who is 7-3. Gulf Breeze 7-3 on the road right here to Bay County, where they're going to be taking on the Mosley Dolphins, who are 9-1. That lone loss coming in a double overtime defeat. Freeport is 4-6. They're taking on Holmes County in Holmes County. Freeport 4-6. Holmes County 5-5. A lot of good matchups going on in our area. We'll have Steve Nissom with us more than likely Thursday to break down all of Pensacola's games for us. Lynn Haven Storm. All of their football teams are playing for Super Bowl titles. They've been around since 2015. They've won 6 PYFA championships over the years. They've never had all 4 of them get to the Super Bowl matchup in the same season. This year, they did it with their boomers, their peewees, their juniors, and their seniors, all making it to the title game. 2 of those teams, the peewees and the seniors, won the title last year. All 4 of those teams are going to be playing Saturday in Fort Walton Beach to win the Super Bowl. Let's go, Lynn Haven Storm.
North Bay Haven cross country team makes history qualifying for the state meet for the first time in school history. The North Bay Haven girls and boys cross country teams have qualified for the state championship. That's huge. All sports here in Bay County are really big. We're very fortunate for that. The boys team finished 6th in the regionals to qualify, and the girls team were crowned the regional runners-up. The state meet will take place at the Appalachie Regional Park in Tallahassee, the same court where the Florida State cross country team competes. The 2A state champions are set for Friday morning in Tallahassee.
You were at the Panama City Beach Sports Complex last night for a little bit of soccer?
Yeah, things got pushed off today, so we'll be moving back out there in about a half an hour to check them out. My cousin Mark Costa and a couple of the guys from Pineapple Willie's, Micah Scribner and Marcus Blue, will be starting their first ever men's 35 and over soccer league.
Why'd they pick 35?
Well, they're all 35. They're not the ones that started the league. It was already previously done. So, hopefully they have a great time out there and get a W.
It's like, you're 34? Nah, it's just a little too young. But one more year later.
That's right.
35, we'll take you. And don't forget about Beat Down at the Beach 22. Get your tickets now. December 4th is going to be a blast. Can't wait for it. Pro-Am, Cam's back in the ring. Tim Hester coming down from Georgia. It's going to be a great time. We're out of here. That's the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll be back tomorrow at 4. Coach James Hale at 7 in the morning, followed by Dan Patrick and Colin Cowherd. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We out.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Warriors.